Welcome to another podcast episode of Encrypted Minds, a podcast about entrepreneurs in cybersecurity and tech. My name is Edwin Karlas, founder of Level Up Sales Consultancy, and today I'm with Vince of Bit Wizards. Vince, I'm very pleased that you're attending my podcast. I was, like I said, very much looking forward to having you on the show. But please, can you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you, Edwin. It's nice to be here, and I really appreciate you having me. Again, I'm Vince Mayfield. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Bit Wizards, which is a managed IT services firm. And then I have a second company, which is a SaaS company, software as a service, consumer subscription service, called Talking Parents.
Right. Yeah, I know you're a seasoned entrepreneur. We're going to discuss both of your companies, but what we're going to do is trends developments you will see with your customers, your idea
Yes.
with your new SaaS company, but also I want to dive into your personal journey as an entrepreneur, because these are the things that is valuable to a lot of the listeners to get things out of seasoned entrepreneurs. But all right, talking about Bit Wizards, can you explain a little bit what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So Bit Wizards has been in business for 26 years now. So we started back in 2000, right after the dot-com bust. And we originally were doing custom software development. And that's my background as a software engineer. We evolved over time and we integrated in front-end development, web development, that side. And so we bought a marketing company and we merged that company in with us so that we could get the user experience and the front-end engineers required to build really polished applications. And then that sort of morphed into infrastructure, because when you build an application, you have to deploy it. And then, of course, we spun off our SaaS company. And now we've refocused BitWizards to do managed IT services. So basically, what we do is we take care of the customer's entire IT footprint. It's outsourced to us. We do their help desk, manage their desktops, their servers, their wireless endpoints. We act like their virtual IT shop.
Yeah. So it's called MITS, right?
MITS, Managed IT Services.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, but you're also combining this with with software development.
Well, we don't. No, we did away with those two lines of business,
Okay.
and we moved all those over part of Talking Parents. And so BitWizards focuses only on managed IT services for companies.
All right. From different angles, you can service your customers. If I'm looking at your website, one thing is remarkable. It seems to be a lot of fun in the Bit Wizards.
It is.
Yeah. But, can you just explain how you created such a culture?
Well, I was in the United States Army and United States Air Force, and I know that the best teams are bound together. They're close. There's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of esprit de corps. So it was very intentional in which we designed the company, and we designed the company culture. And we wanted a place where engineers and where people that worked here wanted to be here. They wanted to work with their peers, and we wanted them to have a lot of fun. And we feel like that translates into not just within our company, but it exudes outwards to our customers, to our vendors, and also to our local community.
Yeah. All right. About your local community, I will ask you some questions later during the podcast, because you're quite active on that part. But with
Yes.
regards of the people you're hiring, it also seems that you need to have a sort of cultural fit to be part of Bit Wizards.
Yes, we hire for culture and fit first, which is a little bit different from a lot of technology companies. Everybody's worried about the person's technical skills. Don't get me wrong, that's important. That is certainly a part. But you can't have a prima donna tech person in the company, because that doesn't work really well. You don't have people that are, sorry, my watch was going off there. Uh, you can't have, people that are affected that way. You want them to come in and you want them to work together as a team. You want them to be people that run other people. So we hire first for that culture fit.
Yeah. But I can also imagine that you also that you find people with perfect resumes that won't be a fit in Bit Wizards.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And we'll turn them away in a heartbeat.
Yeah. right? That easy. And with regards of your customers, because there need to be a cultural fit with Bitwizards as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think we have what we call them a triple threat. And so we look for triple threats. That's people that can do the work, they can work with their peers, and they can talk to customers on a level that customers can understand.
In a broad perspective, because your customers can be just basically everybody from governmental organizations to small, medium enterprises.
That's correct. And, IT people tend to want to talk about the technology, but, technology exists to empower business. And, every business now is technically a technology company because every business integrates technology in to provide scale, to provide efficiency, just to do basic communications and operations. And so we need to be able to speak in terms that business people and lay people understand. They don't care about IP addresses and all that kind of stuff. They could care less. They want to know, how do I get my HR job done? How do I run this manufacturing floor? Those types of things.
Yeah. So, but you're saying that, and I agree with you, that technology is a key aspect of business processes.
Yeah,
For
it's a
basically every
strategic enabler.
strategic
Agree.
enabler, yes. But still, you're focusing on managed services. So the outsourcing important aspects of the business to you and your team.
Yeah, what we try to do is we try to take what large businesses do and bring it to small and medium and mid-market businesses, right? People that don't typically have an IT function. Um, you know, Typical IT is reactionary, right? Break, fix, right? But the reality is that when you go to larger corporations, IT is a managed process all the way through. It's proactive maintenance. It's preventing problems before they happen.
Yes.
This is why you patch and you manage your PCs. This is why you patch and manage your servers. It's why you want to monitor in real time threats, things like that. And so, we take that approach and we bring that to small businesses, and it makes sense for them to outsource because most small business can't afford a huge IT department with, four, five, six, seven, eight people, right? They usually get one guy who's sort of the jack of all trades. And what happens if he gets hit by a bus or he gets sick or something happens, right? Now your business is left without somebody to help them with their IT.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said it nicely. It is that you're translating the issues or the solution from bigger companies towards small, medium enterprises.
Yes.
So, can you give an example of certain trends you see within your customer base? Requests you got or other trends?
Well, cybersecurity is no longer just an IT risk, it's a business risk, right? Because, things like, ransomware, those things equate to operational shutdowns. So you really have to take a proactive approach, and that is translated over into business insurance. Now businesses want to get cyber insurance. And so they're being asked a lot of questions like, do you have MFA, right? What's your firewall like? Is your firewall up to date? And a lot of business owners don't even know how to answer those questions. And so, from our perspective, that's actually part of our services. We'll go in and help our customer go through those questionnaires, get them answers, identify where they've got problems and maybe where they update. Usually our service has already got it covered because we're already asking them to do MFA and things like that
Yes.
they're looking for. We've already separated concerns on the network or segregated the network, we say, between their Wi-Fi internal and their Wi-Fi that they may have available for, customers or guests. We've already done all those things. And so we help them do that, which actually translates into, a more thorough response to the cyber insurance providers and allows them to save money on their insurance because they have these things already put in place.
Yeah. Yeah. So this means you're you're selling peace of mind.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And trust. You have a trusted relationship because you're going deep into the business. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And if you look at a lot of small businesses, what happens? You get that one person that knows a little bit of IT if they don't have an external IT provider, and you got the person that's supposed to be doing HR or the person that's supposed to be doing the engineering or the person that's supposed to be doing, whatever the job is, customer service, and they're trying on the side to fix IT problems, right? And they're not an expert. And so how many hours of productivity are lost by somebody trying to do that that's not trained, that's not skilled, that's not up to date in how to do it. And so that's what we try to do for them. We free them up so that they can do the work that they want to do. So a business owner can run their company and not have to deal with the intricacies of IT. Because, like I said, they don't care about whether you're using a WAP protocol or not, or any of those other things.
No, I perfectly see what you mean. So, Vince, this is a situation. I'm just wondering how you deal with it. So, the tech, they don't care about IP addresses or multi-factor authentication, how it works. It needs to be done, but it is becoming more and more difficult to explain what all these technical tools are doing. So, how do you get your customers? How can you explain to new prospects, for example, what you're doing and why it's necessary? Because what I see is that a lot of people don't understand anymore how the technology actually works.
Yeah, we really try to. I don't want to say it in a disparaging way, but we really try to dumb it down. We try to speak to it at a sixth or eighth grade level, or from a business owner's perspective about why we're doing things. We try not to give them a lot of IT jargon when we talk with them, and explain the why behind what we're doing, not the technical implementation of it, unless there's a logistics factor that needs to be done. We also do a lot of seminars and education with our customers, which actually starts during the sales process, right? Because getting somebody to allow you to do services with them is about the transfer of trust, right? They got
Yes.
to trust you.
Yes.
And so again, that starts in the sales process, which, I know that's a thing that your company does with level up sales. And so you understand that model and understand how you have to bring that and that understanding to those business owners. So it's a concerted effort. It's a very deliberate thing.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously I understand what you've been telling uh, just now, because what I think is that we have a trust deficit.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, nobody trusts IT, right? Because it
No.
was always just a lot of babble and acronyms, and everybody just it's a cost center, right? Which is why you've got to put it in business terms, right?
Yes.
You've got to earn that trust with the customer, and you got to earn that trust within the organization.
Yeah. And that's important. I'm working with a local cybersecurity integrator, and he perfectly understands the process that you first need to show trust before you can do business. And
Agree.
I see that when I talk to other entrepreneurs, or maybe even seasoned entrepreneurs, they think that the product is selling itself because it's so good. And they're wondering themselves, how is it possible that my sales team cannot execute faster? And I'm surprised about that they have difficulty to see that trusted relationship is so important. It's not transactional. It's about relationship.
Agree, and that's the problem too, is that IT, people have been told for years that it's a commodity, right?
Yes.
And it is not a commodity by any means. It's an ongoing system and process. It's an ongoing effort that is critical to business. I keep telling people over and over again, IT is just not a cost center. It is a strategic enabler, like we said before. Every company is now an IT business. I mean, just think about the minimum of what we do. Things like Zoom, things like email,
Yeah.
everything that you do ties back into IT, even marketing, right? Digital marketing. How does that tie back into IP? HR systems,
Yes.
online HR. Even if it's SaaS, there's still an IT component of it because of, either potentially single sign on or multi-factor authentication that customers have to understand. And so we've got to reduce that complexity and explain it to them and build that trust back again.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So, what is your view on the rise of AI in small medium enterprises, or the customers you serve?
Well, I mean, everybody's excited about AI, and not, right? Because, all of the self-serving top people in AI came in and scared the hell out of everybody,
Yeah.
telling them that basically Skynet was coming and it was going to take over everybody's job,
Yes.
going before the US Congress and stuff like that. So it got everybody really scared. And, people are afraid of what they don't know or what they don't understand. And so, some of the things that we're talking to our customers about is to, first, come up with an AI policy within your organization. I'd when and where it makes sense. You've got to look at it from an ethical perspective. You've got to look at it from a business process expectation. How do you integrate it into your company? Let's do that first. And then let's talk about how you can use it as that strategic enabler. How can you get better systems and processes? How can you get better data and interpretation of data versus just implementing AI for AI's sake? And I often tell people AI is not going to take away everybody's job. It's just a tool that's
Yes.
going to have us change a little bit in how we operate.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it also the answer you give to customers of yours that are a little bit afraid of the rise of AI?
Yeah, we talk to them, and I tell them a lot of the stuff. I say, don't believe the hype that you hear on the news. I always, often try to tell them about the technology hype cycle, right? And you look at all the people that run in and become the first adopters. And I'm not saying that AI isn't growing fast, and I do believe that businesses should adopt AI and figure out how it fits in. But it's not this big scary thing, right? It's something that as a business, like anything that you have to deal with, whether it's compliance or whether you're implementing a new HR or you're bringing in a new line to your business, it's something that you plan for, it's something that you organize and then you execute on.
Yeah. You seem to be very relaxed about the situation. And I think it's also partially because you're a seasoned entrepreneur and you've seen a couple of things already in the past 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember when they told us that basically you weren't going to have programmers anymore. It was just automatically going to program. And I can tell you, running another company that has a number of software engineers in it, all it's done is augment what they do. It's increased their productivity. You still need a human being there to make the decisions and understand. And, again, it's not what we saw in the Terminator. It's just not.
No, at least not yet.
Not yet. Well, there you go. You're bringing that fear in there, Edwin. We can't have that.
No, no, I agree. And from an engineering perspective and technical perspective, it's just I'm amazed every day what is being
Yeah,
possible and what is being offered for free by the big AI players like XAI and ChatGPT and Anthropic. It's quite amazing what they can do.
it is. But think about when the internet came out, right? And I remember, just as early as 6 years ago, we had people that we would talk to that here in the southern United States said, "Well, that internet thing is just a fad," right? I'm like, oh my gosh, it has changed how people do business. It's democratized information. Now, as we democratize, access to internet and things like that, I
Yes.
think AI is going to further democratize access to data and information, which will help make people smarter. What I worry about is that it may make people lazy. What it will do is make people not willing to check up, or maybe people think that they don't have to have the fundamental base knowledge to do things,
Yeah.
right? Same problem occurred in coding where we had, parts of our coding that was generated for us. As a programmer myself, I wrote original Windows software where you write it in straight C and you had to write your own message pumps to go do that. And then, Microsoft came along with Visual C++ and your message pump was hidden from you. But what I found as I got along and then we got into .NET is a lot of young engineers had lost their ability or understanding to understand how the things worked underneath the hood. Oh, I would look at it and go, oh, well, that's a binary tree underneath there, or that's a linked list that they're using. And they're looking at me like, well, what is that? I've never written that. And it dumbed down some of the college courses that people took. So I think that's a caution that I would have is to not allow AI to make us stupid. AI doesn't take away your thinking skills. You still need to think. What I see it as is an aggregator. It's a way of gaining insights that maybe as a human being we may not understand.
Yes.
But you have to verify those insights and you
Yeah.
have to verify that data and understand where it came from and where the limitations are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. And it remembers when I was using my first computer in the 90s,
Mhm.
I in early 2000, I could understand how it works. I could fix my own problems. If I had a printer, I could just install the drivers and had a basic understanding of how it works. But now the complexity has increased and everybody's an engineer because they push connect and everything works.
Yes.
Automatically. But like you said, the basic understanding of the logic behind it. All right. So there is a worry you see as an engineer.
There's a little bit of a worry, but I don't think that should stop us from, adopting. I think you've got to adopt smartly. And it goes back to tying it into the business, not doing AI for AI's sake, being methodical and being intentional about what you do in your business, whether it's to help with your sales force, whether it's help with your marketing, whether it's to gain insights within IT, whatever it might be that you're looking to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So talking about the experiences you have as an entrepreneur, you started your other company. It was a spin-off of BitWizards.
Yeah. So, well, it wasn't a spinoff. So, what happened was we had a lawyer named Stephen Nixon, and Stephen was a family law attorney. And Stephen got asked to go in to take over the family law part of his practice that he was doing with his brother because his brother got tapped to be a judge or a magistrate.
Yes.
And so Stephen had to go into court, and he'd primarily before that been a criminal attorney and a business attorney. And so he got in there into court, and it was he said, she said. It was high conflict, and they were handing the judge, text messages and email and Facebook posts and stuff like that. And finally, the judge just pushed it all over and said, "You attorneys go figure this out and come back and give me a coherent way of understanding what's going on here, and I'll rule on it." And so
Yes.
Stephen walked away and said, "There has to be a better way." So he paid a guy working out of the house to build him an application and got about 1,000 people on it. People were being court ordered. And then he realized this guy's running this out of his house. And, if this goes down, and he's not exactly always available to me, he says, I need to look at this from a different perspective because these judges are going to be mad at me if this goes down. So he came into BitWizards. We were doing custom software then. And he asked us to take a look at it. And I looked at it and I said, Stephen, after evaluating the code, I said, this is built by a hobbyist, not by a professional engineer. And I said, we're going to have to rebuild this to scale it. And he says, well, I don't have the money to do it. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, my other business partner, Lewis, and I will invest in the company. We'll start a new company. You can quit your day job. We'll make you the CEO. And we'll go and we'll invest in this and we'll grow this business. And so it became a consumer subscription business and and a SaaS application. So we built that, supported it through BitWizards, and then ultimately spun it off to be its own entity.
So this is at least they come with capital and experience, but still, your with Wizards is business to business. This is business to consumers.
Yes,
So what is
it's
the main difference? How do you run those two separate businesses?
well, it's a very different. You're right. It is a very different audience, right? One has a sales force. When I sell managed IT, it's a sales force that we have that goes out and does that. Whereas through Talking Parents, it's about developing channels
Yes.
and it's about digital marketing and reaching out to customers across the United States and around the world to entice them to come in and potentially become, customers and then also retain the customers. So very different business models. Um, it's you know the underlying principles of business are roughly the same, right? But the metrics and the things that you do and the tactics are different, right? And so one of the things I've always done is surrounded myself with a lot of mentors. I do a lot of reading. We in both of our companies in Talking Parents, we have one of our core values is grow, uh, glow, and evolve. And it's about reinventing yourself and about constantly learning. And then in BitWizards, we have a core value that's called lifelong learner. And so, if you're in the technology business, you've got to constantly reinvent yourself. There's always something new coming down the pike. And so, I've surrounded myself with mentors and people that can help me. I've been a part of Vistage, which is a CEO peer group, and I'm also part of Practical Founders with Greg Head, which is about SaaS applications. And I rely on others to help me, get the education that I need, as well as a lot of studying and investigation on my own.
Yeah. Is it something you advise your people as well to do?
Absolutely. So if somebody needs a book, we buy it on the corporate credit card. We get them a book. Whether it is a thing around leadership or whether it's a thing around business skills or whether it's technical. we go out, we get it for them, we invest in training. One of the things I'm doing in both of my companies with my leaders is we have leadership training, and we've got people coming in and teaching people about, how do I do performance appraisals, and how do I interact with my peers, and how do I develop strategic plans and things like that.
Yeah. So this is also a core value. You support your people to make progress, to evolve, to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, especially for my techie folks, our most introverted techie folks, I'm not going to change them from being an introvert, but I can open up their mind a little bit to, how do you lead people? How do I manage people? Because in natural evolution, certainly you will have people that all they'll do is you throw them some pizza and jolt cola and they write code in the corner. But if you want to evolve in your career, right, you need to understand how to talk with others, and you need to understand how to be a part of a team, and you need to be able to interact. And so the next evolution is stepping away from the technology and learning how to be a leader and learning how to be a manager. And we give people a pathway to do that.
Is this something you? Is it a characteristic of the Finns? It was always there, or is it something you developed along the years, along the way?
Well, it's a core part of my own personal
Yeah.
DNA.
Yeah.
And It's something that I learned, in the service, and it's something that I learned being in scouting. That you've got to constantly. The more you know, the more you grow, the more you learn, the better human being that you can be, the better you'll be at your career, and those skills translate over not to just in your career, but it transfers over into the human relationships that you have within your family, that you have within your community, all those types of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is something I read also on your website. Speaking about the community, it's pretty important for Bit Wizards to contribute to the community. Yeah.
It is very much so. So we encourage the members of our team to volunteer time to give back to our local community. I mean, this is our home. This is where we grow, and so I'm heavily involved in, and not just me, but other members of my team. I give them time to be involved in the Chamber of Commerce, to be involved in civic organizations. We heavily are working with our Panhandle Animal Welfare Society, helping them with taking care of animals in our community, ones that have been abandoned, don't have a home. We at one point donated money to help them build a wing there, and then we've used to bring animals down who were looking for adoption, and we would shoot videos as they came into the office here and met with the people here in the company, which everybody always enjoys.
Yes.
Um, Heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce and helping with enacting, different things in our community to improve our schools, and to promote events that happen and to support our first responders and our military that live in our community. So very much important to us to sponsor sports teams and stuff with the kids in the local high schools and elementary schools, and we're heavily involved with our school district.
Yeah. Yeah. And substantial contributions. It is a lot of effort, money.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of money, and we've probably, I think it's over, um, $3.5 million, and I don't remember the total number. My marketing people could tell you the total number of volunteer hours that we've done. Like I said, we've got several members of our organization that serve on local boards for nonprofits to help out, Fresh Start for Families. One of the things that we do every year, that's a good one, is Fresh Start for Families. We basically use all of our American Express points that we collect over the years, over the year, and
Buying
at the
books.
end, buying books and paying for all the things that we need, the consumables in our company. But we take those points, and at the end of the year, we believe that so Fresh Start has people that have lost their homes, maybe that have children, and they have a program where it's over a 3-year period that those people, they get a home, they learn life skills. A lot of them came out of homes from domestic violence or things like that, and they came out of their homes with just the clothes on their back. So what we do is make sure that they have a great Christmas every year. So the kids make their list of, and their parents, of what they want for Christmas. Pretty much we get everything on the list. And one year we got everybody trees and decorations as well. The whole company comes together. We wrap all the presents by families, and then Santa comes and here at our office, and we usually have a pizza party and cookies and milk. And Santa reads the night before Christmas, and then the next day we load them all up into cars and trucks here from everybody in the company, and we take them over to Fresh Start and drop them off. And it's a thing that we do every year. We probably spend right around 35 to $40,000 every year doing this for the people at Fresh Start.
Amazing. And this is, and so I can imagine that it is great to be part of Bit Wizards to do these kind of things, be part of such a culture. And I can imagine these are the triumphs as you as an entrepreneur to make this possible.
Absolutely. I mean, it helps, people want to be a part of the company. If you ask people, they'll come into our front desk area and they will go, "Oh my gosh, this place feels different, right?" And I feel like I'm part of a family, and there's a lot of fun there. Don't get me wrong, we have our own strife and we have, core business that we got to do. It's not all fun,
Of course, you have to
but
work.
we celebrate when people come here. They get a Nerf gun when they show up because we have Nerf wars here.
No, of course.
Um, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Make sure that they got a computer at their desk and that they've got everything that they need. Make sure that it's very welcoming and that they let them know that they're part of a family. We try to always remember people's birthdays and their anniversaries and their special days with their families. So it's very intentional culture,
yeah, yeah.
which helps with recruiting. It helps people want to come here. In fact, yeah, if you talk to some of my people that have worked in other companies, they're like, "There's no place like this." So
That's
it's
amazing. Was it always that pleasant in the past 20 years? Or did you also experience some setbacks? Some things? Hmm.
Oh, yeah, we did. We had some setbacks. I mean, we moved into a new building, in 2012, beginning of 2013, and right after that, we lost a couple of really big customers, because of some unfortunate things that happened in the economy, and then one because of a thing that happened from a marketing and publicity perspective. And they were, a big portion of our business, and so it was really struggling. I thought we were going to go out of business in 2015, but we basically hunkered down and said, you know what, we're going to manage this one step at a time. We called every, vendor, every creditor, and said, hey, we're going to make good, we're going to get through this. And we made terms with them, and we paid everybody back, and we persevered through. So it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows per se. We've had some different things that have happened, but we've always tried to be honorable and ethical in the things that we do as a company, both with my business partner Lewis, in Talking Parent, I mean in Bitwizards, and then Stephen and Lewis with respect to Talking Parents. We've always dealt with things that way and tried to be, do the right thing.
Yeah. And it paid off eventually.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, if you go back to that situation where you have to explain that you're having a difficult time as a company and that you need to ask the support of the vendors and the partner, did everybody came along? Did everybody understand your situation and said, yes, of course, Vince?
Yeah, I think in general, yes. So we had a couple that sucked it to us a little bit on an interest, because of risk or that type of thing. But I think that people appreciated the honesty and coming straight forward,
Yes.
and telling them and communicating and literally over communicating versus what some people try to do. They try to hide it and they're worried about it coming out. And then we also got the team to buy into what was going on at the time. And so I think all of that helped. And I think we'd also built a lot of street cred within the community. So people knew that, Lewis and I were honest and forthright and that, we always tried to do the right thing. And so it bought us dividends. And I tell people all the time, when you own a business, you never know who you talk to, who you're going to meet, that down that long road is going to come back and represent you as a person. So making that investment, taking the time for people and not simply dismissing them. I'll tell you one other story. We had a customer that came in that was super, super difficult. And we got on a project in about $20,000, and it just nothing we could do could make them happy. And I literally called them up on the phone and I said, "Hey, look, guys," I said, "this isn't working out." I said, "I'm out a lot of money. You guys are not happy." And I said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut you a check for what you've paid to date, and I'm going to give it back to you." And it was substantial. It was over $20,000. And we parted ways, canceled our contract. They went their way. The guy that was the project manager for that later on, somebody called me up on the phone and said, "Hey, I ran into so and so, and they were talking to me, and they sing your praises about how you handled that situation and how you handled it for the investors that were involved." And he is just literally spreading that word. So, how you treat people matters,
Yes.
and it will pay dividends for you and your company if you do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That is interesting. So did it also learned something? It was based on your personality because that felt right to do so, but eventually it was also a good business decision.
Yeah, I mean, these are values that I learned in scouting,
Yeah.
and values that I learned in church. And so, I mean, I believe that if you treat people well and you do the right thing, that those dividends come back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
understand. So, Vince, if you're looking back in the past 10 or 15 years, what advice would you give for the younger Vince as an entrepreneur? Because you have your core values, but you also learn some lessons.
yeah, I would say that no matter what happens, being an entrepreneur is a lonely thing, right? Even if you have a good business partner or business partners, it is really lonely because, and a lot of people don't understand the time or investment. What people see is the instant overnight success, or they look at something and you look at your an ivory tower, but what they don't see is the grit, the determination, the perseverance, and all the things that it took to get there, right? It's years of a grind and slugging it out. And so, what I tell people is it's never as easy as you think it is.
Yes.
Okay. And when things go wrong, it's never as bad as you think it is, right? So if you just take things one step at a time, you can persevere through anything, right? And I remember some times when I was just done. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to do this anymore, the stress or whatever." And then I just dig deep and say, "You know what? You can get through this." People will tell you about, when is it time to quit, when is it not. Yeah, there are situations that you can get in, but most situations are not that way. And so the other thing I tell people is when you start to become successful is when you got to start looking closest, right? Because that's when you start to put blinders on. It's when you start to think, "Oh, well, nothing bad can happen." And next thing you know, something like COVID happens,
Yes.
or something else happens that you get into a cash crunch or you lose a customer.
Yes.
You can't ever sit on your laurels. The business that you are when you're one person versus the business that you are when you've got 10 people, and you're at 1 million in revenue or you're at 5 million in revenue. It's not the same business you are when you're at $10 million in revenue or 15. You've got to constantly evolve and grow. A business is like a toddler, right? It constantly needs attention, right? You may be dealing now instead of a toddler with a teenager, but it's a teenager, and even it never grows into a full adult, right? It instantly can drop back down and be a toddler again, right? Uh, and so you've got to be aware of that, and you've got to constantly evolve.
Yeah. Beautiful words, Vince. I'm just experiencing it right now, to be honest. I thought I had an adolescent last week, and now I'm falling back into a toddler. I had a customer. I'm having a customer, and we had a go live last week, and it was already a tremendous success. So I was a little bit on a high
Yes.
about the success for this company, and I was truly happy with these people, and I like those. I like those the people of this company. I enjoy working with them. But there was some kind of misunderstanding about the setup. And I was coming from a high about the success to an immediate drop because I need to pause everything and the relationship seems to be damaged. And I had truly not a clue what happened. And then I fell back from a high to the toddler back again. And then I like it. It's not never as bad as you think it is. You have to evolve.
You do, and you can persevere through it.
Yeah.
We could get on this call and probably talk for hours. And if you talk to some of my members of my other, CEO and business owner peer groups, you hear about it. And I would strongly recommend find another group of entrepreneurs because chances are somebody else has been through it before and they've got a unique solution or a way to help it, or at least you got a sounding board. Again, it's lonely being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's a really good book. I'm drawing a blank of it, but I will share it with you afterwards. Talks about the psychology of entrepreneurship and how you persevere through things. And I think you would find it to be a great book. I will send you a copy of it.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm a big believer in books. They help, right?
Yeah.
You
Well,
learn.
I cannot hide that I like books as well.
Yeah, I could see it behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is why I like these kind of podcasts and these kind of conversations, because
Yeah.
this is something we experience all the time, and it is lonely. And although your company is way bigger than mine, still we come over it and we just grow stronger. And I'm constantly thinking, what could I have done differently? I'm not sure, because it's also your personal values. And I think I will do the next step to make this work. Is more important than the money itself. We even have a contract for the next year, so that's not a problem. It's that the idea that that customer is not entirely happy with the services I provide.
Yeah, the key thing is to learn from your mistakes and to always be communicating. If I had a relationship that wasn't going well with a customer, I always made time to go back and sit down and talk to them and really let them be heard.
Mm,
Most people just want to be heard.
mm.
And if you take the time to hear them and then repeat back what you heard and then take steps to fix it, man, I tell you, that will pay dividends and you can earn their trust back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is something I will keep in mind, and I'm sure that I will do my utmost best to work it out, and eventually. And but the weirdest thing was that it was so successful when we went live last week. So it was not even that the system was not working.
Yep.
So that was a strange situation. But all right, I will keep it in mind, Vince. Some other
Well,
advice.
Well, there's a saying when you're in the military. It says it only takes one aw shit to wipe out five attaboys. So, five attaboys, you get a pat on the head, and then you have one screw up and you lose them, right? So, you got to go back and get some more attaboys back, and you can win them back. It's
Yeah.
doable.
Yeah, that's what I think, and I also had some other successes with customers today. So, but you need to proceed, and, two steps ahead and one back. It's part of the game. Yeah.
It's okay. It is. You'll make it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I was not thinking about concluding this podcast with this personal note, but I like it.
I love
Absolutely
it
like
too. It's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great talk. I love meeting people that run businesses like this because you can learn a lot from each other.
Yeah.
So hopefully somebody's learned a lot of stuff from us on this podcast.
Hopefully, Vince. I would like to thank you again for the conversation, and I appreciate all the other words. And I will suggest to keep in touch because I like what you're doing. I like. I must say, I like your assistant as well. She's
Yeah,
such a nice.
Bridget.
Yes, she's so nice, so kind. So Vince, thanks again for being on the podcast. And yeah, let's stay in touch. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Vince. Bye
Yes,
bye.
sir. Take care.